Cool Hand Podcast, something you got to deal with. Welcome back to the show. I am your host. My name is Q. Now, I came across a young man, young brother. He hit me in the DMs. He asked for a review for his project. And me being the nice person that I am, I prematurely said, yeah, I got you, bro. I got you. I got you, homie. I'm a check your stuff out. I'm a listen to it and all that. But there's one thing that I do. There's one thing. I done messed up. Now, I made a mistake and I said I'm going to do it without listening to his work first. Now, usually when I do these reviews, these music reviews, I listen to things on my own. Like, this is the Cool Hand Podcast. This ain't the everybody else podcast. This is my stuff. So I listen to it and then I decide if I want to review it or not. Because at the end of the day, this is a fun hobby and I have to like what I'm listening to in order to review it. Okay. So I told the homie, I said, yeah, I got you. He sent me a link. And that's when it hit me like, yo, why did I tell bro that I'm finna review his stuff without even listening? He could be talking about anything. He could be saying all sorts of this and that. And you know, I don't even know who dog is all the way. And so I'm like, this is getting spooky. So I listen to homie. And any sort of anxiety or regret that I had for prematurely agreeing to do something, it went away. I say it went away. And I listened to this project and I'm like, oh man, I listened to the project on my way to work the next day and I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. This is good. So I wouldn't call it serendipity. No, we'll call it serendipity. It was a happy accident. It was a happy mistake that I said yes before even listening to it. And that's not a dig at the man that we're going to talk about today. It's more of something on my part, something that I do that assures that I'm reviewing the right things, if that makes sense to the people who listen to the Cool Hand Podcast. I think that should make sense to you guys. But who am I talking about today? I am talking about a young man, young brother. I believe he's coming straight out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He goes by the name of Tavon Kacey. Now, I don't know too much about Tavon Kacey, but I know he had a feature from the Teddy Bear King himself, of course, King Keith. He had a feature from King Keith, so we have a King Keith connection there, and we're just gonna try to connect the dots from that point forward. So we have a project. I'm gonna call it an album. It's from last year, 2020. I believe it came out in February, and this project is called Solitary by Tavon Kacey. Now, Solitary has what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, only 8 songs. It's about 18 minutes long, I believe. So it's an easy listen. So you can listen to this on SoundCloud. So SoundCloud only. I couldn't find this on YouTube when I first tapped in with Tavon on the gram. I looked for the project on Apple Music because that's my default streaming service, right? So I didn't see it. So this being on one streaming service makes this a mysterious album because it's not accessible to everyone. So this is a mysterious review. This is an incognito review. This is something that not everybody's going to see. This is something that's hidden. This is a hidden album, a hidden project. So this is kind of like coal mine, and you gotta find this. You gotta find this if you're just a regular pedestrian. So hopefully, if you haven't had a chance to listen to the project Solitary at this point, I advise you to just cut this off and go ahead and listen to Solitary. We're gonna talk about it today on this podcast, and I'm gonna talk about the songs, and then I'm gonna give you my general opinion on the project. I alluded to before how I was pleasantly surprised and how my anxiety dwindled down as I was listening to the content. So let's just get straight into it. Now, when you go on his SoundCloud here for this album, you see these words right underneath the album artwork. You see fake friends, heartbreak, depression, isolation, etc. So this is what we have to look forward to. So if you were in a good mood, you might not want to listen to this. If you were in a bad mood, you might not want to listen to this either. But you know what? If you're in a bad mood and you're feeling down, this might cater to you. When I say don't listen to it, I don't want anybody to go deeper into their own depression. But, songs like this or projects like this that talk about depression and things like that, it can kind of give you like a shoulder to cry on, in a sense. That's what music does. It relates to us, and we identify ourselves with certain music and certain artists. So this is some sad stuff. It's some depressing stuff, and we're not going to focus on that too much, but we're going to focus on the actual music and the message that Tavon is getting across on this project. So I'm gonna stop all that yapping about nothing and talk about the first song, which is called Anemic. Now, the general sound of not only Anemic, but the entire project is, when I say trap soul, what do you think? You probably think of the artist Bryson Tiller. Now, I never heard a full Bryson Tiller project, but when I say trap soul, I mean you have the melodies and you have a modern, I'm not going to call his sound trap, but I think that's the best way to describe the sound of the project. So a trap soul, you have your beats. I don't know what you producers call it. Are they called 808s? I don't know. So if they're not 808s, then just give this just chastise me on my DM, chastise me in the comments. I don't know your producer vernacular. I learn new things every day, but that's not one of them. So chastise me later. I don't know who produced this. I'm gonna try to reach out to Tavon and we could talk about the project on an interview or something like that. But I like the production as a whole too. With this song, Anemic, the first thing that really stood out to me was the catchy hook. Now, you listened to this project already, so I'm not going to sing the hook, but the one thing that I think is a strength with Mr. Kacey here is how he uses metaphors, figurative language, and things alike to get his point across. So when you think about anemic, he's talking about cold, like this, it's a cold world, I'm anemic. And he's talking about his friends who didn't believe in him, people who abandoned him. So you can kind of compare friendship or companionship, whether it's with the homies, with a significant other, to a sense of warmth in a cold world. But when you lose that, what are you left with? Well, if you lost warmth in a cold world, then what's going to happen? Okay, cold, you feel anemic. And anemia is a sickness. At the end of the day, it's an imperfection. So you're not just cold. You're feeling like, ooh, I don't have anemia, so I can't really tell you how it feels to be anemic. But I know that it's more than just being cold. It's more than just being in a cold world. It's like being anemic in a cold world. Boom. There we go. Just connected the dots. So we get the sense of the fake friend subject very early within the first song. And we can now go to the second song, which is called 24/7. Now, 24/7 is one of my favorites. I'm going to throw that out there now. This is a cool hand favorite. Hooray for that. I thought this was one of the most catchy songs on the project. So he's saying like, got me thinking about you 24/7. Got me thinking about you 24/7. I remember when we used to be together. I was with you any storm, any weather. You got me thinking about you 24/7. Got me thinking about you 24/7. Like, now, I promise not to sing anymore, but you see how, now I've only been listening to this project for just a few days, right? Just to get familiar with it, to be able to talk about it on the podcast today. However, I immediately connected with this song. Now with 24/7, he once again draws comparison. He says, loneliness is my best friend and depression is like my little homie. So you see the attachment that he has with these sad feelings, these depressive feelings, which isn't a good feeling. If you ever been depressed before, if you ever felt alone, if you ever felt loneliness, you can be in a crowd of people but still feel alone. So Tavon, he was left hanging in this song 24/7. He feels lost. So he's thinking, what happened with him and what seems to be a significant other, his shorty, his little ex shorty. At the end of the day, like, what happened? What went wrong? I'm still thinking about you, like, you know, like I just, especially when a relationship is freshly over, you have those feelings of like what went wrong, especially if you wanted that person, you didn't want it to end, but circumstances or incompatibility or situations in life just doesn't work out. Not all relationships work out, and you could form an attachment to a person, and when you lose that special attachment, you can go into a deep depression. But we got to get out of them deep depressions at the end of the day. But I think this is able to capture those feelings that you have when you're in a breakup and you're thinking about that person and you just have a lot of questions. What changed? What could I have done better? What could they have done better? How could we have remedied this situation that's making me feel so alone at this point? Great song. I really like that one. It's short and sweet, to the point and catchy. The next song is called Impatient. Impatient features someone named Evante Smith. Now, Impatient is talking about how things take time to progress, to get out of a funk. That's how I interpreted this song. He says on the hook that he needs motivation. And once again, I think this is kind of like an extension of 24/7. So you're in a funk and you want to get out of that funk. You wish it's like you're staying in bed, right? You're staying in bed. You want to get up, but you just can't get up. Like, oh, I need to go to the gym and work out, but my body's so weak. I'm feeling so down that I just can't get up. But you want to, you have that desire, but there's something inside of you that's just holding you back. And he's feeling impatient. He wants to get out of this funk and get back on track. So that's how he's rocking on this song. And then we have the young man. I don't know if he's a young man or not, but Evante Smith with a real nice light voice. A real nice light voice, and he joins in on the hook. He pretty much echoes the same sentiments as Tavon Kacey on this song about ready to move on, ready to move forward. I need the motivation, need a vacation, get out of this situation. You know how I'm rocking. So he has a very nice voice. They complement each other on this project, or this song, excuse me, with Tavon's deep voice and then Evante's lighter, softer voice. They balance each other out and they sound real good together. And you really get a sense of that after Evante's verse when they're both on the hook together. So you can see the light voice and the dark voice baritone working together. Really nice song. Shout out to Evante Smith on the feature. They want triumph. They want relaxation. They want solace. They want resolution. The next song is called Cause and Effect, which features none other than the Teddy Bear King. Like, this is the Teddy Bear King. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to King Keith. So Cause and Effect is a really nice song, and it really shows the versatility and diversity that Tavon Kacey has in his arsenal, because of course we have him as a singer on this project, but he pops out with the bars. He then pops out and starts rapping on this song. So he got the flow, he has the pace and the flow and everything, and he's really, like I said, showing the versatility. So Cause and Effect emphasizes the sour relationship experience. So when I listen to Cause and Effect, I think action and reaction. And just like we learned in school, there's a cause and there's an effect. If I talk, my voice goes into the mic. That's the effect that it has. Okay, like cause and effect. I don't have to give you a school lesson about cause and effect. So put it into terms of a relationship. If you have a negative attitude, how is that going to affect the relationship? If you are a constantly nagging person, how is that going to affect your mate in the overall relationship? Things like that. So it doesn't really, I don't think he specifies what the cause is that has an effect in this song that made the relationship sour, but that's the gist, and that's something that the listener can come to determine. There's that openness for the listener to say the things that I just said. If I wanted to relate to this song, they had such a bad attitude, like that was the cause and the effect had this, or he was this, or she was that, or they were the da 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 da, and the list goes on and on. Now, when it comes to the feature, I think this was the perfect song for the Teddy Bear King, King Keith, to be on. And King Keith comes in very smoothly. He had a powerful verse talking about, now I'm doing this, now I'm doing that, like after things are over. And he moved into a loft that is spacious. And when I listen to King Keith's verse, it seems like, okay, so Tavon was talking about the cause and effect, then Keith focused on the effect, or the after effect rather. I'm doing a little bit better now that I'm out of this sour situation. So cool verse. Shout out to King Keith for that. And we'll move on to the next song, which is called Don't Hurt. Now, Don't Hurt is a song that I think many people can relate to in general, because he's talking about lying to himself pretty much. Now, we lie to ourselves all the time. We have things like confirmation bias, things like that. We only look at one side of things when we're not looking at the whole picture. I think that's a form of lying to yourself. I don't know if you would think that too, but you're cutting off a certain piece of information only to let your bias shine through, to make yourself look right. Or maybe you change the narrative to something just to make it fit your own narrative, something like that. But in this situation, he's saying that love doesn't hurt. Now, up until this point, we've been talking about sour relationship experiences, fake friends, 24/7, maybe a possible breakup with someone, and he's down in the dumps. But you can go on and act like everything's good and Gucci, be like, that situation wasn't nothing, bro. You know how I'm giving it up. Like, you know how I'm coming with mine. Like, I'm not, man, I wasn't nothing. I'm good. I'm Gucci. I'm gonna just go on about my business. Whoop, whoop, this, that. But in reality, when you get by yourself and you're away from them people, you're true. Like, you can't run away from yourself. You can act like you're unaffected and unbothered, but in reality, that pain is still with you. So that's something internally that you have to get over. But he's trying to really convince himself that, man, I'm telling myself that this love, that love don't hurt, that this situation or heartbreak don't hurt. That's what he's saying. Heartbreak don't hurt. Because love don't hurt. Heartbreak hurts. Let's get that clear. Love don't hurt. Heartbreak hurts. And he's just trying to convince himself that it don't hurt. But we know what's good. We know what's good. We done all been heartbroken. You got to be heartbroken at least once in life, even if it wasn't a relationship. You could have. My fish died when I was little. That hurt. That's something that hurt. So let's move on to the next song, called Feet in the Mud. Now, what is feet in the mud? What does that have to do? Just reading off that title, like, what does that have to do with anything? Well, maybe when you see feet in the mud, you may think of somebody who's stuck. Maybe. Because that's what he's talking about. Once again, I love how he uses his words, and this is a simile because he uses the word like, as and like. Let's go back to school. I remember they said as and like. That's when you know you're dealing with a simile. So he says, every time I'm reaching for love, it's like reaching for outer space with my feet in the mud. Now, I love that, because I was really able to visualize somebody like reaching for outer space, and you're trying to ascend by one way or another, because we already know we can't reach space, but just reaching for something and you're stuck on some like quicksand type mud, like some type of mud pile, and you just can't move at all. So when you look at that as a whole, it seems to me, because if we're talking about outer space and comparing it to love, we already can't reach outer space. Not on our own. We just can't reach up and touch a star. We can't reach up and no, it's impossible. It's literally impossible. You can't do that. I want show me somebody who could do that. Show me somebody who could do that. You can't. So you're already reaching for the impossible, but then something's holding you back from reaching the impossible. So it seems as though Tavon Kacey is looking at love as impossible to gain, something that's unachievable, when in reality it's not. But that's how it feels. That's how it feels when you've been heartbroken. That's how it feels, because I've been there. I've been there. A lot of people have been there. I think a lot of people can feel this. I think a lot of people could dig this. So if you ever had those temporary feelings, those temporary emotions of, you know, man, forget this, man. I'm not even dealing with these people no more. I'm not putting myself out there no more because I don't believe in this stuff. It's not gonna happen for me. But it's just not happening for you right now. And that's why I keep saying these temporary feelings and temporary emotions. I think this project and these songs really capture those emotions that you go through when something goes wrong. So once again, you see, I'm really getting into what I'm talking about. And that's what I like my music to do. That's how I like my messages to get across in my music. So one thing, if you can take anything away from this review and this project, is that it really taps in with real emotions. Let's go on to the next song, which is called No Friends. Now, up until this point, we had songs that are, like I told you, that trap soul thing. Like, it's slow, you have beats, you have Tavon on a hook, and he sounds real good. They're not fast-paced songs. Now, No Friends is more upbeat. I think it's the most upbeat song on this project, and the beat slaps. The beat slaps. Shout out to the producer who did this song, and the rest of the producers who were on these tracks. And the one thing that I liked about this song is, now let's just put the content to the side and the message. He's talking about no friends. I think the title speaks for itself there, but musically, the beat goes hard, but Tavon doesn't. Well, does that sound right to you? The beat goes hard, but Tavon doesn't. What do I mean when I say that? Think about how things balance each other out. We're using that word again, balance, because Tavon's voice is so deep. If he wanted to turn up on this song, the beat's already hype, or hype enough. The beat's not overcompensating. The beat's not going crazy. The beat's not renegading him on his own song. No, the beat is hype. The beat slaps. And he realized that he didn't need to do, he didn't need to sing all aggressive. He kept the same pace that he did on the other songs. And I think it balanced things out, because if he was doing all this heavy, sounding like Future on on that song Sup Mate, then it wasn't gonna work. But he kept his composure, he stayed sturdy, he stayed steady on the song, and it sounded good, even though he's talking about he doesn't need any friends or anything like that, because once again, he's capturing these emotions that we get as people. Like, I don't need folks, I don't need these people, just backstabbers, this, that, and the third, things that you go through when you might lose a friend. So once again, I like how he kept his cool on the song and really just got the point across without having to yell at the listener or doing all that crazy stuff. So shout out to you for that. And then there's an excerpt from some program. He used like an excerpt from like a show or a movie earlier on the song with King Keith, but I'm going to bring this one out. The excerpt is from some show or whatever, show or movie, and they're saying, it's like, how can we just be friends? And then the other guy's like, we're not going to be friends. You don't get it. Me and you are not going to get along. We're going to fight. I don't need friends. So maybe that alludes to a situation that he's been in or he was in when he wrote this song. The next and last song is called Dance with the Stars. This is a resolution. This is how things end. And there have been so many negative things and negative emotions in this project. Now, up until this point, it's just been all negative. It's like, well, where's the positives? So this is where it comes in. This is where where a silver lining comes in. There's some brightness on the horizon here with Dance with the Stars. Now, in this song, there's like some horns, like a trumpet or something, possibly, and some keys. It's very calm, it's very soft. It is a very soft beat, and it sounds great. I love this beat. Shout out to the producer. He's free of the confinement of his issues that were holding him back, and he's ready to move forward on his own personal journey. That's what I got from this one. It's calming, and it gives you the sense that things are going to be all right. It sounds like he's harmonizing. I'm going to be free. I'm going to dance with the stars. Something like that. And once again, he's using that figurative language. He's going to go dance with the stars. Something that we earlier, he was reaching for the sky. He was reaching for space, and his feet were in the mud. That's how he was feeling. So he might have got out of those feelings at this point in the record. And that's the last song, and I want to give my full synopsis on this project because it's a very short project, which is cool, very digestible. And my summary of this is it's a nice project. I'm gonna read straight from my notes here. Tavon has a very nice voice, and he does use the auto-tune feature, but at this point using auto-tune is a given, and his voice sounds good with it. There's folks out here that use auto-tune or any type of effect on their voice, and they just sound stupid. He doesn't. He sounds great. I think he's good for the metaphors, the similes, and the figurative language, and I think one of his strengths are writing hooks. A lot of these hooks that he wrote on this project were able to stick in my head, and that's the thing that draws people back. Some people may not be able to remember a verse or this or that, but they remember the hook, and that's what keeps people coming back. Facts. So you have things like the when it comes to the figurative language and this and that, the feet in the mud, dance with the stars, waiting all summer for the season to fall. I didn't bring that out earlier, but those are one of the quotes that we have from one of the earlier songs. He even said something, he had like Pass It Off, John Stockton, Karl Malone, two basketball players, two NBA legends who were known for the pick and roll back in their day. So passing the ball. So he's able to capture some imagery for the listener to digest, to interpret. So I really think it's a nice project. So shout out to Tavon Kacey. I'm looking forward to talking to you in the future. I'm gonna tap in with you. I advise you to go check out his project Solitary. It's on SoundCloud. We'll put a link in the description and all that But that's it. This is the Cool Hand Podcast. I shout out to everybody who listens. You already know how we're rocking. We got Rituals clothing on the hat right here. One of my favorite hats, one of my favorite brands. So shout out to Leon Green for that. It's the Cool Hand Podcast. Something you got to deal with. Easy.